Well, good morning. Welcome to my daily video. This is Quarantining with Pastor Michelle. Today is Friday. It's Friday, June 5th, and it's hard to believe it is Friday, isn't it? Today happens to be also, not just any other Friday, today is National Donut Day. So if you are a big fan of donuts, happy day for you. I know that I plan on my way into work. There's a Dayton ice cream shop that's offering, they're not free, but they're offering these special sundaes made with Bill's Donuts, if you're familiar with that donut chain in Dayton. So it's like ice cream with a Bill's Donut on the bottom. It sounds all kinds of deliciousness and all kinds of health, right? But I do plan on going to pick that up on my way into work because YOLO. All right, so I just wanted to say YOLO. It's kind of fun to say. So my friends, I know things are crazy right now. There's a lot of bad stuff happening in the world, but let's stop for some good. So here's a little bit of good news. So in 1983, when Deidre Taylor was 4, she was saved from a burning apartment building by a New York City firefighter. She still has the front page news article about it, complete with a photo of her rescuer, Eugene Puglisi. When Taylor, she's now a nurse, left her home in Alexandria, Virginia, thank you, Lemmy, for the added noise, to spend 2 months battling COVID-19 in New York City, she couldn't help but wonder if Puglisi was nearby. During one of her shifts, she told a firefighter her story, and it only took him one call to the fire department in New York to find exactly who Taylor was looking for. After all these years, Puglisi and Taylor finally connected. The two of us sat there crying on the phone, the firefighter said. She turned out to be a magnificent woman with a magnificent life. The pair found out they had a lot in common. Taylor enlisted in the Army and served as a helicopter pilot in the National Guard before becoming a nurse, and Puglisi was a sergeant in the Marine Corps and fought in Vietnam. And they're both diehard Yankees fans, so we won't hold that against them. But anyway, that's a great story, you know, of people connecting after all these years. And let's go for one more. So 2020 graduates, Quatibi Eldobi and Desiree Turner, and every member of the class of 2020 who's had to endure hell and high water and a whole pandemic to make their dreams come true. Eldobi graduated from the University of Columbia after spending years as a political activist in his native Syria, fleeing to the U.S. after being arrested for his work. He landed a fellowship with the State Department and finally returning to school to finish a degree started almost 10 years ago halfway across the world. Turner, meanwhile, just graduated high school in Utah 3 years after being shot in the head by a friend and left for dead in a dry canal. So after they had to endure a lot of things. This is why graduations are important. They're much more than a piece of paper. They're the culmination of everything one... Oh, excuse me. Thank you. Man, nice to sneeze on live, right? They're the culmination of everything one has had to overcome to get it. So that is true. Some students go through so much more just to graduate. I remember my most important high school was important, college was important. But I think the one I remember the most is my seminary graduation back in 2014. Because it was a rough 3 years. I was working full time for the most part while going to school full time. I mean, it was tough. And so when that day finally came and walking across, and I walked across the stage, I feel for those who have had to endure a lot to graduate this year and they don't get that moment. So I feel for you because I got to have that moment, and it's one of those things that will stay in my memory forever. And I'm coming up on my ordination anniversary too of being ordained. And so I feel for those who did not get that moment. But anyway, just wanted to say that. So those are some good news. Let's start with a little bit of reflection, shall we? From this book. Riding in the last frail dark of winter's morning, and the words seemed to tumble from that waning dark and onto the bright white light of the page. This is where poetry is born, the song that is language emerging beat by beat, declaring itself and you swaddled in wonder, breathing into the depths of the great mystery and exhaling story one henpeck at a time, scratching the surface of what lies beneath to frame the world again into something you can recognize. There are periods when you exist beyond the context of time and fact and reality, moments when memory carries you buoyant beyond all things, and life exists as fragments and shards of being, when you see yourself as you were and will be again, sacred, whole, and shining. The beginning of wisdom is the same as its attainment, wonder. The truest statement in the world is, you never know. There is always something to evoke wonder, to wonder about, because this world, this life, this universe, this reality is far more than just the sum of its parts. Even the slightest detail contains much more. The overwhelming awe and wonder we feel teach us more than we can ever glean or come to know of things. In the presence of that wonder, the head has no answers and the heart has no questions. And I love that. Let's cling to that you never know. And right now we're kind of in that stage where we don't know when all this stuff is going to end. And God knows when it will end. And it is scary if you really allow yourself to think about it. Yeah, my wife and I were talking about it last night and just talking about, it is crazy. You know, there was a report of an asteroid that was coming to the earth that, that's the size of a football stadium, maybe not enough to take us out like the dinosaurs, but, and then there was a report of the Yellowstone volcano. There's a lot of stuff happening. And, I'm not a big apocalyptic, I don't believe that, the Bible predicts the end days, but it is scary because I see everything that's happening and I'm like, crap. But it's just, it's a scary time. But I don't know. I am going to continue to cling to the hope that things will get better. And and as long as we're in this period, I'm going to do what I can do to bring peace to myself, and not only to myself, but to others. And so these live videos are one way that I bring peace, even if it's just to myself. So our woman of the day is Sarah Bernhardt, who is not, for some reason, I don't know why. I swear there's an actress with the last name of Bernhardt. But let's hear about Sarah Bernhardt. Some of her quotes. He who is incapable of feeling strong passions, of being shaken by anger, of living in every sense of the word will never be a good actor. Life begets life. Energy creates energy. It is by spending oneself that one becomes rich. The theater is the involuntary reflex of the ideas of the crowd. So let's hear about Sarah Bernhardt. She's a legendary stage actress. So she was born in Paris in 1844 to a Jewish Dutch woman named Julie Bernard. I know someone named that. No one knows who her father was, when her birth date was, or indeed exactly what Sarah's full name was. Julie left her daughter first with a hired nurse, then at boarding school, and later at a convent. Sarah was often injured or ill, and with a strong temper, she was often in trouble. Once, when she was very young and fell into the fireplace and was burned, her mother came rushing to care for her, but mostly Sarah saw her mother very rarely and probably felt unwanted and unloved. So that's a picture of Sarah Bernhardt. But Sarah was a survivor with a strong will to match her temper. She loved to collect pets, from spiders and crickets to lizards, blackbirds and goats. She loved the nuns at the convent too and wanted to become one. However, she also had a talent for acting. The first time she appeared on stage at boarding school as the Queen of the Fairies, she was paralyzed with fright and burst into tears. But the second time, she played the angel Raphael and was a great success. Her mom's friend, the powerful Duke of Morny, encouraged Sarah to become an actress, arranging for her to study at the Paris Conservatory. So Sarah made her debut when she was 18 with France's National Theatre Company. But after slapping another actress, she lost her job and fled to Brussels, Belgium. There she had a baby named Maurice, whose father was a prince. When she returned to Paris, she became a huge success. Sarah enchanted audiences with her beauty, her emotional performances, and her famous golden voice. She understood how to create a picture on stage with herself at the center, mesmerizing her audiences. But she was not only a brilliant actress, she had great generosity and enormous practical energy, organizing a military hospital at the Odon during the Franco-Prussian War. After the war, she continued giving wildly popular performances and became a true international star, traveling everywhere from Australia to South America. She triumphantly returned to Paris, a multi-millionaire, and there she is, dressed as the son of Napoleon in a play about Napoleon II. Everywhere she went, she captured hearts and broke boundaries. Sarah was one of the first women to play the role of Hamlet. Other male roles included the 21-year-old son of Napoleon when Sarah was 55. When Sarah was a grandma, she played the 19-year-old Joan of Arc. Her talent was so great that she was convincing in any role that she was in. She knew that audiences adored her, and she gave them what they loved, even when it cost her greatly to do so. After falling during a tour and hurting her knee badly, she continued performing, but it never fully healed. And 10 years later, suffering from gangrene, she had to have her leg amputated. Refusing to feel sorry for herself, she continued acting with a prosthetic leg, visiting soldiers on the front lines during the First World War, and starting her last international tour at the age of 70. Finally, though, her great energy began to fail. When she died, the actress from her theater walked through the streets of Paris in full costume to pay their respects at her home. Her funeral was attended by thousands. So many people believe Sarah was the greatest actress who ever lived. She had devoted fans all over the globe, becoming one of the world's first international superstars. With a huge talent and an even bigger personality, she fascinated audiences as much with her life off stage as with her roles on stage, inspiring fashion, art, and novels. Famous American author Mark Twain once said that there were 5 kinds of actresses: bad actresses, fair actresses, good actresses, great actresses, and then there is Sarah Bernhardt. She was so extraordinary that she was in a league all of her own. And so there you have it, Sarah Bernhardt. And so tomorrow we're going to start, we may do it tomorrow. Actually Monday, let's Monday, because Monday through Friday, I'm trying to do the Women of the Day. So Monday we're going to start a whole new category of women who, helped to heal the world. And so tomorrow's Woman of the Day will be none other than Florence Nightingale. So we love a Florence Nightingale, don't we? And so, my friends, without further ado, let's get into Hunger Games. Let's listen to a little bit of Hunger Games this morning. I'm just seeing how many pages are left in this chapter. We are definitely not going to finish this chapter, but we'll read a few pages, shall we? And so, let's continue on with Hunger Games. All right. And so Effie right now is training Katniss how to be on stage during their interview. And Effie was like, well, smile even if the person's aggravating you. So here we go. Yes, it feels very convincing, I say. I'm going to eat. I kick off my heels and stomp down to the dining room, hiking my skirt up to my thighs. Peeta and Haymitch seem in pretty good moods, so I'm thinking the content session should be an improvement over the morning. I couldn't be more wrong. After lunch, Haymitch takes me into the sitting room, directs me to the couch, and then just frowns at me for a while. What? I finally asked. I'm trying to figure out what to do with you. How are we going to present you? Are you going to be charming, aloof, fierce? So far, you're shining like a star. You volunteered to save your sister. Cena made you look unforgettable. You've got the top training score. People are intrigued, but no one knows who you are. People are intrigued, but no one knows who you are. The impression you make tomorrow will decide what exactly I can get you in terms of sponsors, says Haymitch. Having watched the tribute interviews all my life, I know there's truth to what he's saying. If you appeal to the crowd, either by being humorous or brutal or eccentric, you gain favor. What's Peeta's approach, or am I not allowed to ask? Likeable. He has sort of a self-deprecating humor naturally, says Haymitch, whereas when you open your mouth, you come across more as sullen and hostile. I do not, I say. Please, I don't know where you pulled that cheery, wavy girl in the chariot from, but I haven't seen her before or since, says Haymitch. And you've given me so many reasons to be cheery, I counter. But you don't have to please me. I'm not going to sponsor you. So pretend I'm the audience, Haymitch says. Delight me. Fine. I snarl. Haymitch takes the role of the interview, and I try to answer the questions in a winning fashion, but I can't. I'm too angry with Haymitch for what he said, and that I even have to answer the questions. All I can think is how unjust the whole thing is. The Hunger Games. Why am I hopping around like some trained dog trying to please people I hate? The longer the interview goes on, the more my fury seems to rise to the surface, until I'm literally spitting out answers at him. All right, fair enough. We've got to find another angle. Not only are you hostile, I don't know anything about you. I've asked you 50 questions and still have no sense of your life, your family, what you care about. They want to know about you, Katniss, but I don't want them to. They're already taking my future. They can't have the things that mattered to me in the past, I say. Then lie, make something up. I'm not good at lying. Well, you better learn fast. You've got about as much charm as a dead slug, said Haymitch. Ouch, that hurts. Even Haymitch must know he's been too harsh because his voice softens. All right. So here's an idea. Try acting humble. Humble? I echo. That you can't believe a little girl from District 12 has done this well. The whole thing's been more than you ever could have dreamed of. Talk about Cena's clothes, how nice the people are, how the city amazes you. If you won't talk about yourself, at least compliment the audience. Just keep turning it back around, all right? Gush. The next hours are agonizing. At once, it's clear I cannot gush. We try me playing cocky, but I just don't have the arrogance. Apparently, I'm too vulnerable for ferocity. I'm not witty, funny, sexy, or mysterious. By the end of the session, I'm no one at all. Haymitch started drinking somewhere around witty, and a nasty edge has crept into his voice. I give up, sweetheart. Just answer the questions and try not to let the audience see how openly you despise them. I have dinner that night in my room, ordering an outrageous number of delicacies, eating myself sick, and then taking out my anger at Haymitch, at the Hunger Games, at every living being in the capital, by smashing dishes around my room. When the girl with the red hair comes in to turn down my bed, her eyes widen at the mess. Just leave it. Leave it alone, I say. I hate her too, with her knowing, reproachful eyes that call me a coward, a monster, a puppet of the capital. Both now and then, for her, justice must finally be happening. At least my death will help pay for the life of the boy in the woods. But instead of fleeing the room, the girl closes the door behind her and goes to the bathroom. She comes back with a damp cloth and wipes my face gently, then cleans the blood from a broken plate off my hands. Why is she doing this? Why am I letting her? I should have tried to save you, I say. She shakes her head. Does this mean we were right to stand by, that she has forgiven me? No, it was wrong. She taps her lips with her fingers, then points to my chest. I think she means that I would have just ended up in Avox too. Probably would have, and Avox are dead. I spend the next hour helping the red-headed girl clean the room. When all the garbage has been dropped down to disposal and the food cleaned away, she turns down my bed. I crawl in between the sheets like a 5-year-old and let her tuck me in. Then she goes. I want her to stay until I fall asleep, to be there when I wake up. I want the protection of this girl, even though she never had mine. In the morning, it's not the girl but my prep team who are hanging over me. My lessons with Effie and Haymitch are over. This day belongs to Cena. He's my last hope. Maybe he can make me look so wonderful no one will care what comes out of my mouth. The team works on me until late afternoon, turning my skin to glowing satin, stenciling patterns on my arms, painting flame designs on my 20 perfect nails. Then Vinna goes to work on my hair, weaving strands of red into a pattern that begins at my left ear, wraps around my head, then falls in one braid down my right shoulder. They erase my face with a layer of pale makeup and draw my features back out. Huge dark eyes, full red lips, lashes that throw off bits of light when I blink. Finally, they cover my entire body in a powder that makes me shimmer in gold dust. Then Cena enters with what I assume is my dress, but I can't really see it because it's covered. Close your eyes, he orders. I can feel the silken inside as they slip it down over my naked body. Then the weight, it must be 40 pounds. I clutch Octavia's hand as I blindly step into my shoes, glad to find they are at least 2 inches lower than the pair Effie had me practice in. There's some adjusting and fidgeting, then silence. Can I open my eyes? Yes, Cena said, open them. The creature standing before me in the full-length mirror has come from another world where skin shimmers and eyes flash, and apparently they make their clothes from jewels, because my dress, oh my dress, is entirely covered in reflective precious gems. Red and yellow and white with bits of blue that accent the tips of the flame design. The slightest movement gives the impression I am engulfed in tongues of fire. I am not pretty, I am not beautiful, I am as radiant as the sun. For a while, we all just stare at me. Oh, Cena, I finally whisper, thank you. Twirl for me, he says. I hold out my arms and spin in a circle. The prep team screams in admiration. Cena dismisses the team and has me move around in the dress and shoes, which are infinitely more manageable than Effie's. The dress hangs in such a way that I don't have to lift the skirt when I walk, leaving me with one less thing to worry about. So, all ready for the interview then? Asked Sina. I see by his expression that he's been talking to Hamish, that he knows how dreadful I am. I'm awful. Hamish called me a dead slug. No matter what we tried, I couldn't do it. I just can't be one of those people he wants me to be. Sina thinks about this for a moment. Why don't you just be yourself? Myself? That's no good either. Hamish says I'm sullen and hostile. Well, you are, around Hamish, says Sina with a grin. I don't find you so. The prep team adores you. You even won over the game makers. And as for the citizens of the capital, well, they can't stop talking about you. No one can help but admire your spirit. My spirit? This is a new thought. I'm not sure exactly what it means, but it suggests I'm a fighter in a sort of brave way. It's not as if I'm never friendly. Okay, maybe I don't go around loving everybody I meet. Maybe my smiles are hard to come by. But I do care for some people. All right, so that concludes today's portion of the Hunger Games. Tomorrow we'll finish up that chapter, and we're almost to the games section of the book. So I don't remember if I prayed or not, so let's close in prayer, shall we? Our Father and Mother, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. And let us pray for our world, and our country, and all the mess that we find ourselves living in. God bless you all. Stay safe out there, and continue to remember that you're loved, and continue to spread that love to others as well. God bless you all.